pick up the different action. We've got Artesia Mayor John Henry with us. You mentioned the organizational aspect of the meeting last night with the Mayor Pro Tem and all that. What were some of the other things that were talked about last night?
One of the things right at the start of the meeting, we did have a new business make its presentation to the council to get approved. So Artesia will have a cannabis business in town. You know, a lot of folks, it doesn't matter how you think either way. We had an ordinance, and they found a location within the ordinance that worked. So that did get approved. So that will be moving forward.
Where will that be? Do you remember?
501 South something, First Street, I think.
Oh, okay.
I know where it is. I just don't know the address. I know the building. I can't remember the address. But yeah, it did fit within all the guidelines and things that the state and the city had put forth, and so that's one coming. I know some folks have mixed emotions on both sides of that. Some are super excited, some are super sad. Doesn't matter either way. I mean, it's something that is here, and we need to
I was talking to a now former radio person. He'd been in radio 27 years, and Monday was his last day. He's no longer in radio. He is now a paid liar for well, we were joking. He says, I'm going to work for this organization. I'm going to, you know how Jen Psaki is the spokesperson. I said, so you're going to be a paid spokesperson, or a paid liar spokesperson. He said, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah, but it's a joke. She's a paid liar. Anyway, but he's not going to lie. Well, at least I hope he doesn't lie.
Right.
Anyway, but he was telling me that his radio group did 3 remotes on opening day.
Really?
On opening pot day. He says, what did you guys do? And we said, we did nothing. Our legal counsel has advised us to stay far, far away from it. Everything I see from our broadcast association, stay far, far away from it.
Yeah.
And so, no, we are not, because of the advice that we've had. Merritt Hamilton Allen wrote a guest op-ed in the Roswell Daily Record back on Tuesday. Pot is legal. I'm trying hard to muster interest.
Right.
So you wonder if, because New Mexico wasn't the first state to legalize it.
Right.
19th or 20th, I think. We're up there. There have been some bills recently in Congress to decriminalize it at a federal level.
Right.
And so you wonder, are we closer to that time when it's going to become not criminal?
Yeah.
And I think the point that one of the points that was trying to make in the editorial is, New Mexico, are we too late to cash in on all the excitement over legalizing marijuana?
I think I haven't thought about it that way. That's a great point. I mean, some folks, they were kind of disinterested, because if you were wanted it that bad, I mean, I'm sure folks went to Colorado or when they were in Vegas or wherever they were at. It's really not a big deal anymore. And I think that's what, talking to a lot of folks in the public, some of them, like I said, they're not too super excited, but they understand where we're at, kind of like that. Okay, it is what it is. It's here. I really appreciated the presentation that the group gave last night to help us understand what they do, what they're bringing to the table. They do bring a lot of experience, which is good. They've had medical, they've had medicinal, they've had all these other, so they understand what they're doing. So we should look at that and say, well, at least there's that. That's really good. They know their business. And with the rules, he had a binder, I don't know, it's a couple inches thick, of the rules they have to follow. And so the question I had, just so that folks understand, just like a liquor license. I mean, I don't know how many strikes they get, but a liquor license used to, 3 strikes, you lost your license and it was gone. So these folks are adhered to those same types of rules. So there's a ton of rules there are rules put in place. I'm not going to call it a ton, because I looked at the bill and I was a little disappointed. It was a little loose on a lot of them, but not towards these folks. My disappointment is not the selling of it, but the selling of it's creating my disappointment, because we don't have a lot in place in the state, any state, to understand how do we make sure folks are safe to drive? How do we make sure to your point about the radio, how are we supposed to handle this in certain businesses? I mean, there wasn't a lot of help for business owners, for police departments, for cities, for counties to help us understand how we deal with it now. It was just get it done and let's move. And so I think that was the big pushback is a lot of us, we see the issues the state have as is. Now we're going to compound some of those, and we never had a solution for the issues to start with. Now we've added a whole new layer of a whole new substance. And so how do we deal with that? How are the schools going to deal with that? There's just a lot of questions, and I don't think the state did a good job at all at helping us understand how to deal with them.
Right.
And I don't think they have a plan to deal with them. So when folks are upset at those shops, don't be upset at the shops, be upset at the state for not helping us understand how to do this and how to do it right.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone does. It's been legal in Colorado for how many years now? It's been quite some time.
It has been.
And I don't think they have the answers yet. So,
Right.
so if they don't have the answers that and you think we're going to do it better, how are we going to do it better? Well, they don't have that answer. Well, okay, then you don't have an answer. So
Right.
don't sit there and tell me we're going to do it the best. How?
Yeah, you haven't really
Give us
laid-
a solution
laid
for
that out.
some of these questions.
Yeah, but the council did approve
We
the
did.
first
Yeah.
application that has come
Yeah,
before the
they
council.
did approve it. They met all the requirements, and so they were able to get that through. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
so that was one of the big
Yeah.
items.
it'll come up in our sales meeting again next week.
Right.
Can I have that as a client? And I'm like, I have told you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Under advice of legal counsel, no.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting.
And I'm a free market,
Yeah.
economic, free market economic
Sure.
thing. But when I have the lawyers who we pay good money to give us hopefully good advice,
Yeah. Yeah.
say this is what you should and should not do,
Exactly.
And then I hear what the guy told me. Oh, we did 3 remotes, It's like, really?
yeah.
And then it creeps into my mind. Well, what did we miss out on? But
Right.
But we haven't been actively seeking that, I'm sure.
Well, and I guess you probably don't have as much of an opportunity down here because Roswell doesn't have one. We
That's right.
didn't have one.
That's right. Carlsbad,
I'm sure did, but I have no idea.
well, I know they have.
They have some medicinal ones.
Yes, and I'm going to assume, and again I don't know, but
yeah.
that they would have been on the path to.
Yeah,
To also
you would
do
think
the-
since they were already kind of set up, they would have made that change. But
Yeah.
I don't know for sure if what they have down there. So
Yeah.
really down here we were, and it wasn't,
Now there was a story after the first weekend of sales. I think it was KRQE that did a story, and they got the data from the state as to where the top 10 communities were.
Right.
And it was interesting because Clovis, Portales, Hobbs, Sunland Park. I think Sunland Park was number 2. Albuquerque was 1. I think Sunland
Right.
Park was number 2. But a lot of the top 10 places for sales in that opening weekend were near Texas.
yes.
And
yeah.
so there was a lot of that going on. Now, whether the state troopers in Texas
yeah.
were hanging at the border to arrest people or not, I don't know.
I'd seen a report that yes, Texas was getting really aggressive on the on the border, both borders. Texas is Texas, Arizona are aggressive on the southern border as well, but on the border trying to stop that from coming into the state. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I know a lot of Texans that when they were in Colorado would make sure they brought their lotions and gummies and all the things that they buy back. And
Yeah.
it's out there. We all understand that. My frustration with it is how do we fix what we already don't know? How to fix?
We don't know how to
Yeah.
fix it.
Here's all these issues. We don't know how to fix them.
Yeah.
We don't know how these are going to compound the issues, but we just think, oh yeah, it'll be great. Let's just
It'll
make
be
it
great.
happen. So yeah.
Well, we did, and
Yeah.
and we'll see where it goes. And what else from the council last night?
Trying to think. The recreation report was really good. I sat in through some of those meetings. The budget report was good. We've been, the budget committee, we've met 3 times now to really work hard on that budget, make sure we can try to fit some things in, some things that we know we need to shore up. So that's been really good meetings. That was a good report by Jared. And then recreation, great report. They've got a lot of stuff going, obviously getting ready for the summer programs, getting geared up to get that excitement going. he was talking about Little League, and I guess he had been to a game. Council Rodriguez had been to a game Friday or something, and just how exciting it was to see all the kids out there, all the fans back out there, and all the games were fun little games. And so lots of exciting stuff happening, good reports from those departments, and keeping things moving.
Let me ask you this on the budget process, because one of the campaign issues that came up at a lot of the different forums and discussions was pay for emergency response, law enforcement, and so forth, and what can be done to address that. As you've started to go through, and the council has started to go through the budget process, how are those discussions from the campaign, how are they starting to manifest themselves in the discussions that you're having and the council's having on the budget?
I think they're coming along the best we can make them come along. I think for the most part, the group understood we had some issues in different spots, not just those two, but some different spots, and obviously we talked a lot about it on the campaign. So it's been a big focus on how do we start to maybe resolve some of these things across the city in general. I mean, there's some other things that didn't pop up. Things I didn't know, the water department, and the wastewater, you have to have these E4s and E3s and all these that most of the city doesn't understand. And in fact, I'm going to bring some folks in from those departments to help the city understand what they do. I went and toured some of those departments. It's absolutely incredible what they do. I mean, you just think, I flushed toilet and it's gone. No, there's a ton of stuff that goes into it, and it's really fascinating. And they do great work, and they're super proud about it, and they should be, because they're one of the top ones, I think. Byron was telling me they've won some awards. So we've got a lot of things we're going to have to figure out in amongst some of those departments, and try to see how we can make it work.
Now, when you say an E4, is this a level?
Yeah, I guess and I had no idea what any of those meant, but yeah, you get taking tests, and you get more certified, and it takes certain amounts to get to this level, and it's a huge process, and the folks that achieve it should really be celebrated, because it takes a lot of work to move up that level with the testing and the things you have to know, and the knowledge, and just the little bit of time I spent walking around and listening. It was fascinating, everything they have to think of, and how they have to think it, and the colors, and the this and that, and this means that. And I didn't even like taking care of my pool. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
These folks it's way more than a pool, the knowledge they have to have, and the things they have to do. And I don't know, it's pretty fascinating. We're gonna make sure that as long as you're okay with it, bring some of those folks in.
Oh, I think it's great. Yeah.
I would love for them to. It sounds silly.
They don't have to bring any samples.
Yeah, no samples. Yeah. But shockingly, when I was walking around, I thought, really, I expected to be like, oh, no. Everything they do keeps the smell down. It's just absolutely fascinating across the board on so many different things that the city does. So we want to make sure to bring some of them in so they can tell folks, because I had no idea.
Yeah.
And the average citizen probably would have no idea.
Right.
All we know is the toilet flushes and works. We're happy.
Yeah.
But what happens? And
what happens with
a pretty interesting deal.
Wow.
So
no, that'll be fun to do that, because I think what happens is we don't want to fall into the trap during the shutdowns.
Right.
When you had the governor picking winners and losers, you're essential, you're not essential. I would venture to guess that pretty much everybody that works anywhere at any company, whatever their role is, and so you get into the city, well, you got your police and fire, which are very visual, essential personnel, but then on the behind the scenes, the people that pick up the trash, people that take care of the water's flowing, that the toilets are flushing.
Right.
I bet they consider themselves to be essential too.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think the citizens expect them to be essential as well. I mean, you gotta celebrate them all and make sure they're all understood what they do, and I think that's the most important thing. That was always the frustrating thing when I worked at hotels. I started out as a front desk manager, and the front desk just thought they were the elite, right, of the hotel,
that's right,
whatever.
That's right, yeah.
And the housekeepers were when I ran housekeeping for quite a while as director of service, they don't show up, the hotel shuts down.
Yeah.
And folks don't. You can have 15 front desk clerks. That's awesome. You don't have a single room to put a person in it. So all departments are, you've got to work, and none are more important than other. I agree with everyone's on those sediments. Some are different. Some, it takes different specialties, different skills, different knowledge, different classes. So there's difference. It's just like any job.
Yeah.
But no, it's pretty interesting how it all functions and flows, and but we've got a lot of
Literally.
work. Yeah, exactly, literally. So it'll be fun. I can't wait to get them in, because I think you'll have a ton of questions, and hopefully a lot of folks will hear it, because they need to understand it's how cool it is that these folks have done what they've done, and how excited they are to do their job.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. It was fun to be out there and listen to her talk about it and how it works. And so we're gonna have some good times on these shows, I hope, because y'all won't listen to me, you'll listen to other people.
All right, Mayor John Henry, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you next time. Let's head to the news.
Non-detonated smoke.